There comes a moment in every human life when the noise becomes unbearable. Not the noise of the world, but the noise inside your own mind. The excuses that once comforted you begin to sound empty. The distractions that once entertained you begin to feel like chains. The person you have been pretending to be can no longer hide the person you were meant to become. And in that moment, life asks you one simple question. Will you continue sleeping with your eyes open? Or will you finally wake up and rebuild your life? The greatest prison has never been made of steel. It has never been surrounded by walls or guarded by locks. The greatest prison is the one built from repeated habits, unconscious thoughts, and silent surrender. It is the prison where people convince themselves that tomorrow will somehow be different while repeating the same choices today. Years disappear this way. Dreams grow old this way. Potential slowly turns into regret without making a sound. Many people believe their life collapsed because of one terrible event. But most lives are not destroyed all at once. They are worn away little by little. One postponed decision, one abandoned promise, one compromise after another, until the face in the mirror begins to feel unfamiliar. Not because time changed it, but because the spirit behind those eyes stopped believing in its own strength. Rebuilding your life does not begin when circumstances improve. It begins when your standards rise. It begins the moment you decide that your future deserves more respect than your comfort. This decision is invisible to everyone else. No applause follows it. No celebration announces it. Yet it is the most powerful decision a human being can make. Because every transformation that history remembers first began as a quiet decision inside an ordinary heart. Look carefully at nature. Mountains are not rushed into existence. Rivers do not argue with the rocks in their path. Bamboo spends years strengthening its roots before it reaches toward the sky. The deepest lessons are never shouted. They are demonstrated through patience. The universe seems to whisper the same truth in countless forms. Lasting strength is always built from within before it is visible without. Your life follows the same law. You cannot decorate a weak foundation and expect the building to survive the storm. You cannot fill your days with distractions and expect your soul to discover peace. You cannot negotiate with your lower habits every morning and expect greatness to greet you every evening. Strength is not something you find. It is something you forge. The fire that creates it is discipline. Most people misunderstand discipline. They imagine punishment. They imagine restriction. They imagine a life emptied of joy. But true discipline is none of these things. True discipline is an act of profound self-respect. It is the quiet decision to stop allowing your temporary feelings to determine your permanent destiny. Your emotions change with the weather. Your purpose should not. Some mornings you will feel inspired. Other mornings you will feel exhausted. Some days confidence will walk beside you. Other days doubt will sit heavily on your shoulders. If you only move when motivation arrives, your life will become a servant to unpredictable emotions. But if you move because you have made a decision, then your emotions slowly learn to follow your actions instead of controlling them. This is the difference between drifting and directing. A ship without direction does not fail because the ocean is cruel. It fails because every wave becomes its master. Likewise, a person without inner direction becomes controlled by every opinion, every temptation, every fear, every unexpected inconvenience. The world is full of forces competing for your attention because attention is your most valuable currency. Wherever your attention goes, your life quietly follows. Every unnecessary argument steals a little energy. Every hour lost to meaningless distraction weakens your ability to create something meaningful. Every comparison with another person's journey slowly blinds you to your own. Guard your attention as if it were sacred, because it is. Silence has become rare in a world addicted to constant stimulation. Many people fear silence because silence removes their distractions. In silence, there is nowhere to hide. The mind begins revealing everything that has been buried beneath endless activity. Unfinished grief appears. Hidden fears emerge. Forgotten dreams return. This is why silence is uncomfortable. It introduces you to yourself. But it is also why silence is necessary. No teacher can replace the wisdom that arises when you finally become quiet enough to hear your own conscience. Deep within every human being exists a voice untouched by fear, untouched by ego, untouched by public opinion. It does not speak loudly. It never competes with chaos. It waits patiently beneath the surface until the mind becomes still enough to recognize it. The strongest people are not those who dominate every room they enter. They are the ones who have learned not to be dominated by their own impulses. Anyone can react. Few can remain centered. Someone insults you. Your anger demands immediate revenge. Someone succeeds where you failed. Envy quietly invites itself into your heart. Someone doubts your abilities. Pride insists you prove them wrong immediately. But mastery begins when you no longer obey every impulse simply because it appears. Between every event and every response exists a small space. That space determines the quality of your life. Within that space lives freedom. The person who conquers this space slowly becomes unconquerable. Many spend their lives trying to control people, situations, economies, opportunities, and outcomes. Yet the wisest understand that the only kingdom truly worth ruling is the one within. If your thoughts remain undisciplined, success will not satisfy you. If your emotions remain untrained, wealth will not calm you. If your character remains weak, achievement will only magnify your weaknesses. Outer victories, without inner mastery, eventually become burdens. This is why rebuilding your life cannot begin by changing your address, your career, your relationships, or your possessions. Those changes may become necessary later. But first, you must rebuild the invisible architecture of your character. Every morning offers an opportunity to lay another stone. Wake up when your comfort begs for another hour of sleep. Keep your word when nobody would notice if you broke it. Finish what you started long after excitement disappears. Choose honesty when deception seems easier. Remain calm when everyone else chooses panic. Little by little, you stop becoming someone who hopes for a better future. You become someone capable of creating one. The ancient masters understood that repetition shapes identity. Every repeated action whispers a message to the subconscious. Every promise you keep strengthens trust in yourself. Every promise you break teaches your mind that your own words cannot be believed. This is why self-respect is earned, not imagined. Confidence does not appear because you repeat encouraging phrases while ignoring difficult responsibilities. Confidence grows quietly. Each time you prove to yourself that your actions are stronger than your excuses. There is extraordinary power in making one small promise and keeping it every single day. Not because the action itself changes your life overnight. Because you change, your identity slowly shifts. You stop asking whether you have enough willpower. You become the kind of person whose decisions carry weight. There is no shortcut around this process. Nature refuses to hurry because it understands something humans often forget. What grows too quickly usually cannot survive the first storm. Deep roots require time. Strong character requires repetition. Inner peace requires continual practice. Patience is not waiting while doing nothing. Patience is working faithfully without demanding immediate rewards. The seed buried beneath the earth does not complain because no one applauds its invisible growth. It simply continues becoming what it was created to become. Can you do the same? Can you continue improving even when nobody notices? Can you remain disciplined before success arrives? Can you protect your integrity before recognition appears? These questions separate those who merely dream from those who quietly transform. Every human being carries two voices. One voice seeks comfort. The other seeks growth. One says, "You have done enough." The other whispers, "There is still more within you." One searches for reasons. The other searches for responsibility. The tragedy is not that the weaker voice exists. It always will. The tragedy is feeding it every single day until it becomes impossible to hear the stronger one. Every choice is nourishment. Each decision feeds one version of yourself while starving another. The version that complains grows stronger every time you blame circumstances. The version that perseveres grows stronger every time you accept responsibility. The version that fears failure grows stronger every time you avoid discomfort. The version destined for greatness grows stronger every time you willingly walk toward what challenges you most. Life is quietly asking this question every day. Which version of yourself are you feeding? Most people imagine rebuilding as adding something new. But often rebuilding begins by removing. Remove the habit that weakens your mind. Remove the conversation that poisons your spirit. Remove the constant need for approval. Remove the endless comparison. Remove the unnecessary noise. When the unnecessary disappears, the essential finally has room to breathe. A clear lake reflects the sky because its surface becomes still. A restless mind reflects nothing clearly. Notice how much suffering is created not by reality itself, but by resistance to reality. We argue with the past as though memory can rewrite history. We fear the future as though worry can control tomorrow. Meanwhile, the only moment capable of changing our lives quietly slips away unnoticed. Presence is not passive. Presence is power. When your attention fully enters this moment, your decisions become cleaner. Your mind becomes sharper. Your emotions lose much of their confusion. Energy that was once scattered across endless worries begins gathering into focused action. That is where rebuilding truly gains momentum, not through dramatic declarations, not through emotional promises made during moments of temporary inspiration, but through the humble willingness to meet this moment completely, again and again, until the person you once hoped to become begins to emerge, not by accident, but by the quiet accumulation of deliberate choices that reshape your character from the inside out. The world celebrates dramatic moments because they are easy to see. It applauds the championship, the promotion, the breakthrough, the victory that arrives under bright lights. Yet it rarely notices the thousands of invisible moments that made those victories possible. It does not see the morning when someone chose discipline instead of delay. It does not see the evening when someone resisted the temptation to quit. It does not see the countless hours spent in silence, correcting small weaknesses that no audience would ever applaud. But life sees. Your character sees. Every decision leaves a mark upon the person you are becoming. Never underestimate the weight of an ordinary day. An ordinary day is where extraordinary lives are quietly built. Do not wait for the perfect season to begin changing. The perfect season has never existed. There will always be unfinished responsibilities. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be reasons to postpone your highest priorities until tomorrow. But tomorrow has become the favorite hiding place of unrealized potential. Tomorrow asks for nothing. Today asks for courage. Every sunrise delivers the same silent invitation. Begin again, not because yesterday did not matter, because today matters more. You may carry mistakes behind you. You may carry disappointment, embarrassment, lost opportunities, broken trust, years that seem impossible to recover. Yet none of these possess the power to define your future unless you continue carrying them as your identity. There is an important difference between remembering your past and living inside it. Wisdom remembers. Fear lives there. The mind often becomes attached to familiar suffering simply because it is familiar. Strange as it may sound, people sometimes defend the very habits that are destroying them, not because those habits bring peace, but because change requires stepping into uncertainty. The known pain feels safer than the unknown possibility. This is why growth demands courage before it produces confidence. Confidence is not the beginning. Confidence is the harvest. Courage is the seed. Walk before you feel ready. Speak the truth before your voice stops shaking. Keep your commitments before they become easy. Sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. Little by little, what once felt impossible begins to feel natural. Not because life became easier, because you became stronger. Strength has little to do with physical ability. Real strength appears when no one can force your mind away from its purpose. Imagine a tree standing through countless seasons. Storm after storm bends its branches. Fierce winds strip away its leaves. Rain soaks its roots. Heat dries the earth around it. Yet year after year, it continues reaching upward. It does not waste energy arguing with the weather. It grows anyway. There is a lesson hidden within that image. Stop negotiating with reality. Some days will be difficult. Accept that. Some people will misunderstand you. Accept that. Some plans will fail. Accept that. Acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance is clarity. When you stop resisting what already exists, your energy becomes available for creating what does not yet exist. Many people exhaust themselves fighting circumstances they cannot change while neglecting the choices they can still make. Peace begins the moment you stop asking why life has become difficult and begin asking what this difficulty is trying to teach you. Every challenge contains a hidden invitation. Failure invites humility. Waiting invites patience. Loneliness invites self-discovery. Responsibility invites maturity. Loss invites gratitude. Discomfort invites resilience. Life becomes a remarkable teacher once you stop demanding that every lesson arrive wrapped in comfort. You cannot become deeply peaceful while constantly chasing immediate pleasure. Pleasure is temporary. Meaning is enduring. There is a profound satisfaction that appears only after effort. It cannot be purchased. It cannot be borrowed from another person. It cannot be imitated. It is the quiet satisfaction of knowing you remained faithful to your values when abandoning them would have been easier. No one can give you that feeling. No one can take it away. The greatest relationship you will ever build is the one between you and your own conscience. When those two become aligned, the opinions of the world begin losing their power. Praise no longer intoxicates you. Criticism no longer destroys you. Success no longer blinds you. Failure no longer defines you. You become anchored. And an anchored person cannot be easily carried away by temporary storms. Think about how much energy is wasted seeking approval from people who are still searching for approval themselves. One person changes their personality to fit every room they enter. Another changes their dreams to satisfy expectations. Another silences their convictions to avoid criticism. Little by little, they become strangers to themselves. Freedom begins when your identity no longer depends upon external acceptance. This does not mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means becoming rooted. A mountain does not become smaller because someone refuses to admire it. The sunrise does not ask permission before illuminating the sky. The river does not apologize for flowing toward the sea. Nature simply fulfills its purpose. Perhaps that is one of the deepest forms of wisdom, to quietly become who you are meant to become without constantly asking the world for confirmation. There is tremendous power in consistency, not intensity. Intensity burns brightly for a moment. Consistency changes a lifetime. Anyone can feel unstoppable for one day. Anyone can become inspired after hearing powerful words. But who are you when the excitement fades? Who are you when nobody reminds you? Who are you when progress seems invisible? That is where identity is revealed. The sculptor does not become frustrated because the first strike of the hammer fails to reveal the masterpiece. Each strike matters. Each movement matters. Each correction matters. Likewise, every disciplined action shapes something invisible before it shapes something visible. The visible results always arrive later. Trust the unseen process. Seeds grow underground before they greet the sunlight. Your own transformation follows the same rhythm. Do not confuse invisible progress with no progress. The deepest changes often happen where your eyes cannot measure them. Your thinking becomes calmer. Your reactions become slower. Your attention becomes steadier. Your standards become higher. Your excuses become fewer. Your promises become stronger. One day you realize the circumstances that once overwhelmed you no longer possess the same power. Not because the world changed, because you changed. Never measure your growth only by achievement. Measure it by your response. Do you recover faster after disappointment? Do you complain less? Do you remain patient longer? Do you forgive more easily? Do you protect your peace more carefully? These are the quiet signs that your inner world is becoming stronger than your outer conditions. And that is real progress. A distracted mind cannot build a focused life. The modern world constantly encourages divided attention. It teaches people to consume endlessly, react instantly, compare constantly, and hurry through every moment, as though speed itself were success. But speed without direction creates exhaustion. Movement without awareness creates emptiness. You do not need more information. You need greater attention. Ride one meaningful page with complete presence, instead of many books with a wandering mind. Practice one habit faithfully, instead of chasing 20 improvements at once. Master 1 hour instead of worrying about 10 years. Attention gives ordinary actions extraordinary power. When your whole mind enters a simple task, that task becomes a form of meditation. When your whole heart enters your work, work becomes an expression of character. When your whole presence enters a conversation, listening becomes an act of compassion. Life deepens wherever your attention rests. Guard your mornings. The first thoughts you welcome into consciousness quietly shape the atmosphere of the entire day. If you begin with noise, your mind learns restlessness. If you begin with gratitude, your mind learns abundance. If you begin with intention, your actions gain direction. The morning is more than a time of day. It is a mirror. It reflects the relationship you have with your own life. Those who constantly rush into the day often discover they have been rushing through the years as well. Slow enough to become intentional. Fast enough to remain disciplined. Balance is not found by drifting between extremes. It is found by remaining awake. Awareness is the beginning of mastery. Notice your thoughts without becoming their prisoner. Notice your emotions without becoming their servant. Notice your fears without allowing them to become your future. You are not every thought that enters your mind. Clouds pass across the sky without becoming the sky itself. Thoughts pass across awareness in the same way. The moment you realize this, you begin reclaiming a freedom that was always available. You no longer believe every fearful prediction. You no longer obey every passing desire. You no longer surrender your peace to every changing circumstance. Instead, you watch. You breathe. You choose. And within those simple acts of awareness, something remarkable begins unfolding. A quieter mind, a steadier heart, a clearer purpose. A life no longer driven by impulse, but guided by intention. From that place, discipline stops feeling like a burden and begins feeling like liberation. Because every disciplined choice removes another chain that once held you captive. Every patient step carries you farther from the person who settled for less than their potential. And every moment of conscious effort reveals another layer of strength that had been waiting beneath years of distraction, comfort, and fear. The greatest battles you will ever fight will not appear on a battlefield. They will unfold quietly within you. No crowd will gather to witness them. No one will hand you a medal for choosing integrity over temptation. patience over frustration, or discipline over comfort. Yet these unseen victories are the ones that determine every visible success that follows. Every day, life places two paths before you. One path is familiar. It asks very little. It invites you to delay, to complain, to blame, to seek comfort whenever discomfort appears. It promises ease, but slowly steals your confidence. It feels safe, yet it quietly leads away from the person you are capable of becoming. The other path is quieter. It does not promise comfort. It promises growth. It asks you to rise before your excuses. It asks you to continue after your enthusiasm fades. It asks you to remain honest when dishonesty would be easier. It asks you to become patient in a world that worships speed. It asks you to believe in unseen progress. At first, this path seems lonely. But loneliness is often the place where your true character introduces itself. Do not fear walking alone for a season, if that season is shaping the strength that will carry you for the rest of your life. There are moments when rebuilding will feel painfully slow. You will wonder whether your efforts matter. You will question whether your discipline is making any difference. You will look around and see others advancing more quickly, receiving more recognition, enjoying more immediate rewards. In those moments, remember this. Comparison measures appearances. Wisdom measures direction. You do not need to become someone else. You need to become more completely yourself. Your journey is not late. It is unfolding according to every choice you make today. Do not curse small beginnings. The mountain is climbed one step at a time. The masterpiece is created one careful stroke at a time. A powerful life is built one faithful decision at a time. Nothing meaningful is ever lost when it is built with patience. There will be days when your old habits knock on the door of your mind, asking to be welcomed back. They will remind you how easy it once was to drift, to settle, to avoid responsibility. Smile at them. Thank them for reminding you how far you have come. Then keep walking. Growth does not mean the old voice disappears. Growth means the new voice becomes stronger. The disciplined voice, the courageous voice, the peaceful voice. The voice that no longer asks, "What do I feel like doing today?" Instead, it asks, "Who am I choosing to become today?" That single question has the power to transform an ordinary life into an extraordinary one, because identity is not discovered once. It is practiced daily. Each sunrise gives you another opportunity to practice becoming the person your future needs, not through dramatic promises, through faithful actions, not through perfect performance, through consistent effort, not through waiting for certainty, through moving with conviction, even when the entire path cannot yet be seen. Understand this deeply. No one is coming to rescue your potential. No one else can build your character. No one else can strengthen your mind. No one else can walk the path that belongs to you. This is not a burden. It is a gift, because the power to change your life has never belonged to circumstances. It has always rested inside the choices you make when no one else is watching. Every disciplined morning declares that your future matters. Every focused hour declares that your purpose matters. Every promise you keep declares that your word matters. Every act of kindness declares that your heart matters. Every moment of restraint declares that your peace matters. And slowly, almost invisibly, your life begins to reflect the quiet order you have created within yourself. People may ask what changed. They may search for a secret. They may assume there was one extraordinary moment that transformed everything. But you will know the truth. There was no single miracle. There were thousands of small decisions. Thousands of moments when you refused to surrender your future for temporary comfort. Thousands of opportunities to drift that you answered with direction. Thousands of invitations to become less that you answered by becoming more. One day, you will stand where you once dreamed of standing. Not because life suddenly became easy. Not because every obstacle disappeared. but because the person who once feared those obstacles no longer exists. In their place stands someone calmer, stronger, more patient, more focused, more grounded. Someone who understands that peace is not found by escaping difficulty, but by developing the strength to walk through it without losing themselves. And perhaps that is the greatest achievement a human being can reach. Not simply to earn more, not simply to accomplish more, but to become someone whose inner world remains steady regardless of what happens outside. A person whose discipline is stronger than distraction, whose purpose is stronger than fear, whose patience is stronger than frustration, whose character is stronger than circumstance. When that happens, success is no longer something you chase. It becomes something your way of living naturally creates. So when you leave this moment, do not search for a different life. Build one. Do not wait for confidence. Earn it. Do not hope that tomorrow will be different. Choose differently today. Protect your attention. Honor your word. Welcome discomfort as a teacher. Let silence become your refuge. Let discipline become your freedom. Let patience become your strength. And let every step, no matter how small, become a declaration that you will no longer live beneath your own potential. Wake up not just from sleep, but from doubt. Rebuild not just your habits, but your character. Master not the world around you, but the world within you. For the life you are searching for is not waiting somewhere in the distance. It begins the moment you become the person capable of creating it.